gold down there, Diane. There's gold down there.
You're like their number one favorite guy. Because you won them cash. Hi and welcome to the Tour Report from Secret Golf, and it's another major week, the second major of 2021. We're off to Kiawah Island in South Carolina for the PGA Championship. We have got so much to talk about today with this course and with this field. But first, well, I'm joined by Steve Elkington, and this is our favorite major because this is your major. You are the 95 PGA champion, and already I can see the Wanamaker trophy proudly displayed in the background.
Yes, indeed, Diane. Thank you and good morning. Yeah, the PGA Championship is, yes, I won the PGA, but there's a reason that I like the PGA so much. It represents the club pros. And I basically was raised by club pros. Alex Mercer was the pro at Royal Sydney in Australia. I was growing up. When I came to America, Jackie Burke, who's like my surrogate father, he's a club pro. So I've been around a club pro almost every day of my life. And to win the PGA was an enormous feat for me. And, you know, Diane, whenever I go to a club, even here I am 26 years later after my PGA victory, I'm still always known as the PGA champion. And that is cool.
I mean, we always talk about how these guys get their debut win on the PGA Tour, and of course it's a huge deal for them, and it's almost like solidifying their place on the PGA Tour. So many people call it life-changing, but to win a major championship really is just a life-changing event, and you're testament to that.
I think so. I mean, people forget which course that you won on. They may forget it was a PGA or, you know, the US Open, but they never forget that you won a major. And, there's all this talk about, is there 4, is there 3, is there 8 or whatever? No, there's 4, the Masters, the PGA, the US Open, and the Open in your country. And those are the 4. And if you win one of those, you're lucky enough to never be forgotten, is what I say. That there's a term they say, Diane, it can't be taken away from you, but that's just talk. You'll never be forgotten when you win a major.
And the great thing for you is you won yours at Riviera Country Club, and it's still a course that we see every single year for the Genesis Invitational on the PGA Tour. So that's special, and all those memories come back for us really twice a year when we talk about that tournament and then talking about the PGA. But talk us through that day a little bit, especially the Sunday. What was your mindset before you teed off on Sunday morning? And what do you always remember about that final round?
Well, I had a hot round. I'll start at the end. I had a 64 on Sunday to win the tournament. I beat a Scotsman, your countryman, in the final in a playoff. Colin Montgomery, lucky enough to do that. He birdied the last 3 holes to tie me, so it was a very intense finish at Riviera that year. But my daughter was only little. She was maybe 6 months old. I remember my daughter Annie and Lisa were up on the putting green at Riviera that sits right on top of the 18th green. Peter Jacobson was holding my daughter Annie because Lisa was so nervous. She was shaking so much she couldn't hold the baby still. So all those things, out of everything that happened to me that day, I still remember my daughter and my wife and what it all meant to everyone around me. I was staying with a great friend of mine, Gary McCord, my long life friend, gave me the trophy on the 18th green. It was just the best day ever for me and my family at Riviera that year in 95.
Amazing. And that picture of Annie with the trophy and she's crying her eyes out. It's so good. I love it. Okay, then. Well, we're going to talk about Kiawah Island, the ocean course, to kick off the show today, because this course is going to be a beast. I've seen it referred to, they talk about the beauty and the beast because it's gorgeous. I mean, you can see it behind me there. You have the Atlantic Ocean on one side, the marsh on the other. It's a Pete Dye design with help from his wife, Alice. And well, we're going to talk about some of the trademarks, but I think the first one is you look at the length of this course, 7,876 yards, the longest course to ever host a major.
The interesting thing about this 7,800 yards, Diane, and people that have watched our show know that I was a co-designer with Pete Dye at New Orleans. And the interesting thing that I've never said this before, but Pete tried to get me to design an 8,000-yard course at New Orleans, and I said no. I said, I will not be a part of an 8,000-yard course. And I said to him later on, I said, why did you want 8,000? He goes, well, I'm thinking 20 years ahead, 15, 20 yards. There's going to be guys that are hitting at 350 yards. And this was back 25 years ago. And I was thinking, he's crazy. I mean, nobody's going to be doing that. And here we are. So Pete Dye was always a visionary. He always keeps players off balance. People that have watched our shows understand what Pete Dye is trying to do. I've read a lot about how Pete built this golf course, and it doesn't really have a prevailing wind. You can see the Atlantic Ocean on one side, swampy river on the other side. There's no real prevailing wind, so he built it like a figure eight, try to get everything up a little bit so the wind would hit it even more. And yes, Diane, this is going to be a very difficult course. Whoever wins this course, this will be the easiest course for us to handicap because the field just shrunk down to about a dozen guys probably can win this tournament because it is going to be so demanding. Every hole is crosswind, wind, greens are perched up, and let's face it, it's a major. It's going to be tough to win.
Well, it hosted the PGA Championship in 2012. We're going to be talking about that a lot today. That's the one that was won by Rory McIlroy. I mean, the conditions were horrendous. He beat the field by 8 strokes. It was an incredible win for him. It also hosted the 1991 Ryder Cup, and it's the first time that a Ryder Cup course has ever been confirmed that wasn't even built at the time. They actually only started planting the seed for the course a year before. I mean, unbelievable. But for Pete Dye, he's talked about the fact that this was such a special project for him because he saw the land and he could really do anything he wanted with it, in that there's not houses nearby. You're not constricted by anything other than the fact the Atlantic Ocean is right there. And then you have all this marshland to play with.
Yeah, and Pete, I'm looking at the hole right over your shoulder. I watched Rory's victory on YouTube a couple of times this weekend to get a feel for what he did and how he did it on this golf course. And he putted well that last day to hold everybody off. But Diane, they've got so many hard shots to play this week. I've been talking to my close friend Jason Duffner, who played the course the last 2 days. They're expecting dry conditions this week. They're expecting wind to come from 3 or 4 different directions, which is going to be very difficult for the players to keep adjusting. But that's fine. I mean, the best players are going to come to the top. We've broken it down, and we know who we think is going to do well, and we're going to share that with you.
So there you have it, our introduction to Kiawah Island on the Tour Report this week for the PGA Championship. Coming up on the show today, well, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the course. We're going to look at the main stat categories that we're going to use to base upon our re-ranking. We're going to re-rank the entire field. It's always, well, as you say, easy on one hand, trickier on the other, because we think there's only really a handful of guys that are going to go out there and compete this week. But we do have some Sizzlers and some Dark Horse names for you as well, all coming up on the show today.
Compete against your friends on PGA Tour events. Win cash and bragging rights. Test your golf knowledge. Experience the success and failure of PGA Tour players. SG Tour app is an engaging golf experience designed by professional golfers that created a variety of games, including single and multi-day games, as well as tournament-long contests. It's really simple. Join or create a game, pick 4 players, and win cash. You can even immerse yourself in interactive features, including course strategy, putt predictor, and daily content exclusively from PGA Tour players. The word is out and golf fans are catching on. So don't miss out. Download the SG Tour app now.
Well, this week it's the second major of 2021, the PGA Championship at Kiawah Island in South Carolina. I'm Diane Knox, and well, our 95 PGA champion is here, Steve Elkington. Elk, when I think of Kiawah Island, it sounds terrifying. You know, we've obviously been doing some research into this course over the past couple of weeks. I mean, it reminds me a lot about kind of a Scottish links course in that it's a very natural creation, as we were saying before. There's not like houses on the course, and Pete Dye wasn't totally restricted by everything else around him. He basically had the ocean and the marsh to work with. But I mean, this is going to be such a grueling test.
Yeah, and Pete Dye, Diane, keeps you off balance. I've already talked to some of the players that are there right now, and they say this course is the most intimidating golf course off the tee. Yes, there's plenty of room out there to hit your ball in the fairway, but it doesn't look like there is. And also, he gives you odd angles. You'll see that in my drawings. I'll show you deliberately how he's given you these odd angles. In other words, you're here, and he wants you to hit it over there exactly where it looks terrible. And Pete Dye was so good at that, and there's a couple of holes in this course that will be featured. Of course, we'll see holes like number 3, which is a drivable par 4. We'll see guys going for it. Remember Rory McIlroy in 2012, there's a tree in the middle of the fairway. His ball got stuck up in the tree, finished up taking a drop, and he made 4. We'll see holes like 17, Diane, will play like a par 4, where remember it almost destroyed my friend Mark Kepka, where he topped it in the water in the Ryder Cup, finished up in tears and said he may not ever play golf again. This course has absolutely strangled guys right down to their wits' end. We saw Hale Irwin playing the last hole in the Ryder Cup against the great Bernard Langer. They both finished up in tears. What's going to happen this week, Diane, if the wind comes back into these players with the last 4 holes? What are we going to see?
And we talk about that closing stretch. I mean, this has got Pete Dye written all over it, in that we have a par 5, a par 3, and a par 4, like TBC Sawgrass, PGA West. The 17th hole, you do have to carry water. It's not an island green, and it's a slightly longer hole. But something that's really interesting about this course is the fact, there's actually more oceanfront holes on this course than any other course in the world, and it's because it's designed in the shape of a figure 8.
Yes, I'm going to try to display my drawings today on a big table and show you the routing of this course. In fact, Alice Dye, Pete's wife, said, why don't we raise this course up about 6 feet so everyone can see the ocean when they're putting and playing the golf? And, of course, Pete did that, but that also exposed it more. And I can't tell you by looking at that drawing behind you or looking at that picture behind you, Diane, but there's a lot of drop-off on this course. My friend Jason Duffton told me today, he said he doesn't think anyone that misses a lot of greens this week will fare well, because it's so hard to pitch the ball from low up to high with exposed, turtleback greens that are very difficult to, get the ball to do what you want. This is a paspalum grass. We've talked on this show before. What is paspalum? That's different. Well, it's a grass that is suited on the seaside links. It likes the salty air, so look at it. It looks great. I mean, they have it at Mayakoba, where our own Pat Perez has won before, and Patton Kazaya. So the players will be used to the grass. But the main thing this week, Diane, it's all about where is the wind direction coming from, and it's going to change, and how do they get the ball in play?
Mm-hmm. Rory McIlroy in 2012 actually talked about the paspalum, and he said it was very sticky. So it meant that you could be more aggressive with your wedges and with your chip shots, because the ball would have a little bit more hold to it. Aggressive play. Are these guys going to have to play aggressive this week to do well?
Well, I think that's a very interesting question, because when you stand on holes like the hole right behind you there, you have the water down the right and the bunkers left. Pete only gives you alleyways to hit down. And if you have enough game and enough courage to hit it into the correct spot, you will open up the second shot. Where you get in trouble on Pete Dye courses, Diane, is when you start to get away from where he wants you to go. He has got you so boxed in, so turned around, as my friend, again, I'm referring to Jason Duffner's text today, stay away from the big number here at Kiawah this week.
And with those greens, as you said already, they're elevated greens, so it's not going to be easy. You just can't run the ball up there. So these guys picking their spots on the green and being accurate with that approach shot, that's really going to be key.
Yeah, and the winner this week is not going to be a guy that scrambles all over the golf course. The winner this week is a guy that has really good rhythm, someone that's able to just stand on the tee and make his rhythmical swing. super, super courageous. I mean, he's going to have Superman. You know what I mean? He's going to have Super Bowls this week to be able to hit some of these lines, Diane, because I watched Rory play on YouTube when he won in 12, and he putted. He must have made 5 or 6 8-footers for pars. Of course, he had a big lead, but even as good as he was swinging, he still had half a dozen holes that he could have made bogey on.
Okay. Right then. So the main stat categories that we're looking at this week then, we'll go through them. We've already said that it's over 7,800 yards. It's the longest major host course we've ever seen. Erin Hills, I mean, we saw Erin Hills for the US Open in 2017. It's 135 yards longer than that course, and that was the big talking point. But driving distance, we're obviously going to be looking at.
Yeah, and I actually don't think driving distance is the key this week. I think it's accuracy. I mean, I was lucky enough to play well in some big, giant golf courses when I was 48 at Whistling Straits. Baltusrol is another giant course. I'm not the longest hitter, probably in the top 80 on tour when I was playing, even when I was older. It's this week, to me, Diane, is in the fairway. I don't care what it is. You get it in play here, you can play this week. So to me, I'm kind of throwing out driving distance a little bit. I'm more accurate this week.
And as you say, we've done our research. We talked to Jason Duffner, who's been out there playing, but we are going to rank in as well greens and regulation, scrambling, putting average, and par 4 efficiency, 450 to 500 yards. Talk us through the importance of that stat.
I think this week, going with what he's talking about with the crosswinds. See, now crosswinds are very, very difficult, Diane, because, right to left, if you're a right to left player, you can ride that wind in. Left to right, do you turn it back into it? Can you ride that? You start to look down the board. Do you see great iron players like Morakawa, Hovland, Rory, JT? How are they going to be able to cope with all this? And to me, it's a second shot golf course here. Stay out of trouble off the tee, get it in play, but the guy who wins this tournament probably is going to be up around the top in GIR this week and makes all those 6 and 8 footers that he needs to for pars.
Okay, right. Well, we're going to get straight into our re-ranked top 10. And we're going to go through this. A lot of it is, the names that you would expect to be there. So it's no surprise that Rory McIlroy comes in at number 1. He won the Wells Fargo at Quail Hollow a couple of weeks ago, and he won the PGA Championship here in 2012. But a couple of weeks ago, we would not have had him at number 1. But the way that he played at Quail, it's the only place that he can go now.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, we had him off our board at Quail because he was working on his swing. He was a big, giant question mark of what was going on with Rory McIlroy. Not only has he answered all of our questions, but he's answered his own questions. He was able to come back, worked with Pete Cowan, looked to me like we talked about his swing, had that shift to the inside, looked like on the telecast he got a little straighter ball flight. Yes, and Rory McIlroy knows this course. He won here in 12, of course. But now, all of a sudden, all that doubt is gone. He is now on top of the board. Nobody hits the ball better in the big wind than Rory. Nobody has better rhythm than Rory. And now he's full of confidence all of a sudden. And he's on a golf course that he's won before a major. So, yes, Rory McIlroy has just flipped the switch in a month. It's unreal what he's done.
And I think you said it perfectly there in that, for all of us watching, it's like he's back, but he's proven that to himself. And he told us, he talked to everyone about the fact that he was having those internal struggles where he couldn't get fired up. He didn't have any motivation. It was kind of all in his head almost. And making that change to go to Pete Cowan, he has proven to himself. So that confidence right now, an all-time high, surely.
Yeah, I mean, I think I read last week where he's so thankful that he is back in the winner's circle. He understands now that he's sort of got his footing back into the golf history book, so to speak. And now he's sort of poised. He probably wishes he was going into the Masters to finish his Grand Slam. But yes, Diane, Rory is sitting right where he needs to be this week. Of course, when you think of Rory McIlroy, one thing stands out the most, which is his swing and how solid he hits the ball. And these crosswinds aren't going to affect him as much. And we couldn't say that a month ago. And it's credit to him. He's worked hard, and there he is, sits on top.
Okay, well, talking of that Grand Slam, this could be a momentous week for Jordan Spieth. The PGA Championship is the one major that he is missing, and we have him at number 2 this week. Elk, when we were having our pre-production call, we went through, okay, who would you pick between JT and Spieth? Who would you pick between Spieth and DJ? Spieth. And he just kept rising further and further up our list. So he is solidly at number 2.
Yes, and we already know at this golf course there is room off the tee. He proved to us he won in Texas on a really narrow golf course, so I'm not that worried about his driving anymore. But Jordan Spieth is what's inside of him. He's like a Hale Irwin, like a Lanny Watkins. He's the biggest fighter, and he knows what's at stake this week. He had a good enough week last week after having COVID to finish well in the Byron Nelson, where he was kind of the host at AT&T. But who is more equipped to play a kind of a nasty, tricky, need a bunch of patience, have to hit a bunch of good shots than Jordan Spieth? Best putter out there in the field, best up and down game guy. He's probably as good an iron player as anyone in the field. It's the tee ball that's been kind of letting him down. So Jordan Spieth knows exactly what's at stake this week, and this is a very important week for him.
Okay, there's nothing else we can really say about him. But we will move on to our number 3 guy who succeeded around a Pete Dye course earlier this year, and that is Justin Thomas, the Players Champion. Now, he is a former PGA champion. He won it at Quail Hollow. I think the question mark that we've seen from Justin Thomas over tournaments of late is the putting. You know, a couple of weeks ago, he was bottom of the field when it came to using the flat stick. Has that concern started to fade for him, or is it something that we're going to have to watch out for this week?
I saw enough good play at Charlotte at Wells Fargo from JT to solidify his position here at number 3. JT is not scared of the big moment. He's a PGA champion. He understands Pete Dye golf courses. And what I mean by that is he just won at the Players Championship. You have to have a certain mindset to play these golf courses. This is hard, and this is tricky, and it's nasty, and you've got to hit the ball where you don't want to. And Justin Thomas understands all that, and he is a lifer. I've told you this on the show before. What's a lifer? He's going to be out there for 30 years, and he also wants a Grand Slam, even though this could make 2 PGAs. But Justin Thomas will fight like nobody's business, and I like him in this slot this week.
Okay then. Coming in at number 4 is another guy with confidence. He won the Valspar a few weeks ago for his debut win on the PGA Tour. He took that confidence into the AT&T Byron Nelson with that incredible birdie on 18 to take solo 2nd place. And Sam Burns is one of the biggest hitters on the tour right now. There's so many positives when it comes to his game.
I am going to ride Sam Burns for another week, Diane. He hits it almost perfectly straight off the tee. He had that tournament well in his grasp yesterday, got ran over by Lee, who shot an enormously low round yesterday. Great for that kid. But Sam Burns is an emerging star on our tour. Very straight hitter, very powerful. This course is going to suit well for him, mainly because he is still riding that wave, Diane. He had a week off after Innisbrook, almost won last week, so watch out. I'm riding the wave up on Burns.
Yeah, and you watch him play, and yesterday there was, of course, that 2-hour weather delay, and he came back, and what a great end to his round. But it's like he hardly puts a foot wrong. He's so consistently good. He's just solid. That's the word that comes to mind when I watch him play right now.
I was a bit worried when he lost 5 36-hole leads, but I think I told you on the show that he had a 3 or 4 shot lead in LA with 8 holes to go and lost that lead. I was so impressed when he put himself right back in the lead again. Some guys will shy away. They'll take their foot off the accelerator. Not Burns. Burns keeps going. He doesn't mind, showing, exposing himself to all the pressure, and he did it at Innisbrook. He fought off Keegan Bradley, who's a major winner, and it was right there. No, I like Burns a lot. He, he's got all the pedigree. He was a great junior player, college player, got on tour, been near the lead a ton of times. Now he's a winner, and now here he is coming into a major with form.
For sure. And then coming in at number 5, another young guy who's definitely proven his place on the PGA Tour. He's one of the world's best. We have Viktor Hovland at number 5 this week.
Hovland is just sort of slightly out of the limelight, but we all know he's finished like second, third, the last 3 events he's played. Mm-hmm. And how's he do that? He hits it long and straight, but he's a really good iron player, and he's sort of fixed his chipping. He was an average chipper, and he's just becoming a tour player. And Hovland, look, he's better than these other guys. I saw him play at Charlotte. He was in the final day with Jason Duffner, who had a terrible day that day. But Duffner texted me and said, "This is the real deal, this guy. He knows exactly what's going on out here, and watch out." So Hovland is playing very well. Like I said, there's only a dozen guys can win this tournament, and he's one of them.
Yeah, that was the big thing for him, was his chipping, and he finished 3rd at the Valspar. I think that was really the week when all of his hard work on his chipping paid off, and he even talked about it afterwards, saying that had been the flaw, and for the first time he felt really confident with it. His scrambling stat doesn't reflect the fact that he's got so much better over the past couple of weeks, and it's going to be a part of the game that could be important this week.
Very important. There's going to be greens that are missed. There's going to be crosswind. Diane, when I think of, I already said this once, and I'll say it again. I'm not big on the super speed guys this week. We're going to talk about a few of them coming up here. I want those rhythmical swings and these crosswinds. When you play holes with crosswinds, think Rory McIlroy's tempo. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay. And that's why he's number 1. Rory at the top, followed by Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas, Sam Burns, and Viktor Hovland. Coming up on the show, we'll run through the next 5 guys in our top 10. We're also going to look at some sizzlers and those dark horse picks for the second major of the year. Get in the game on the SG Tour Golf Gaming app and play 4-ball. It's a classic stroke play competition based on the aggregate scores of 4 players. Who makes your team? Well, pick 4 guys, 1 from each tier based on the current World Golf Rankings. Want a tip? You need 4 guys to make the cut. Get in the game on the SG Tour Golf Gaming app, available on iOS in the App Store. Welcome back to the Tour Report from Secret Golf this week for the PGA Championship at Kiawah Island. Elk, I'd asked you if you had played this course before, and what did you tell me?
No, I haven't. I've been there, but I haven't played that course, and I'd like to go play it casually, maybe from a couple tees up than the 7,800.
Yeah, this week, as we said, 7,876 yards, the longest major course that we have ever seen. So expect some fireworks. I mean, it looks pretty. We've got that to look forward to. Right, so we're on to our number 6 in our re-ranked top 10. And well, this is a guy who... he turns it on at majors. He's another one that's really not scared of the big course and the big moment. Xander Shuffly.
Yeah, Shuffly, when I look at the board and I say who has the potential, who has what it takes to win on this type of golf course, Shuffly has the rhythm. He's a great striker of the ball. Yes, it's been a while since he's won, but he's been close enough this year. Kepka knocked him off there at the Phoenix tournament. But Xander Shuffly hits the draw, shouldn't have too much trouble figuring out this golf course, a young guy, but he's very consistent, very good, solid swinger, always there, grinds it out, just better than other guys, Diane. That's why he is on the board where he is.
He is always there, but there's been a few instances of late where the Sunday causes him problems, and he's had so many opportunities to win, and he hasn't. You know, Sunday, something will happen and he'll fall away. Do you think that Xander could really go out there and win his first major this week?
Well, he was only a whisker away from having a green jacket, Diane, when he pulled that shot at 16 into the lake. He has hooked the ball a little bit under pressure. What about that? I don't know. But whenever you're talking about guys that are almost winning tournaments, that tells me a lot. And, Shuffly, he's one of the best players we have out on tour. He is going to come across the finish line again with a trophy, and it could be this week.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And he won the Tour Championship. I mean, it's not like he hasn't won big event.
This is much bigger than that, though.
It is. Okay, well, the reigning PGA champion has to feature in our top 10, and we have Colin Morakawa at number 7. What do you make of Morakawa's game right now? And in comparison, I guess, to that big coming out moment for him at TPC Harding Park?
Well, I remember, Diane, when I was the defending champion of the PGA, and I went to Valhalla in 1996, and I was paired with Jack Nicklaus the first 2 days in the tournament, and it was the greatest honor of my life to play the first 2 days with Jack Nicklaus in 96. It was towards the end of his career. But Morakawa is a guy that rises to the occasion, and I think, again, I'm going with Morakawa because of his consistency ball striking wise. I've got to have guys that knock it down the middle with their eyes closed almost. Morakawa is one of our best iron players we have on the tour, and he putts good. I look down this board and I try to find the weaknesses in other players, and I can't find too much there with Morakawa. I like him a lot this week.
Mm-hmm. Second in greens and regulation. He's third on the tour for par 4 efficiency. His big number, driving distance 125, but I think people are going to get really focused on that this week. They're going to see this huge course and think, oh, well, it's got to be the big hitters. But, you've explained it's not necessarily the case.
I want to hit it solid. I'm doing my drawings. I'm in the middle of doing my drawings right now, and I'm looking at these holes, and there's serpent-shaped holes, and there's holes that look like ketchup bottles that narrow up, and I'm thinking to myself, if I was the longest hitter on tour, where would I hit it on this course? And if I did miss it, oh my God, I can't go there. So I think the fairways is going to be the absolute premium this week, Diane, because it's going to be windy, and they're predicting the course will stay dry. So it's going to play a lot shorter than 7,800. Okay. And there's going to be winds come from 2 or 3 different directions. So it's going to be very interesting, but I'm looking for guys with rhythm, good tempo. They'll make the adjustments, play the wind, get the balls on the greens, stay in contention.
Okay. Coming in at number 8 is someone who's always regarded as one of the greatest players in the world. That's just a fact. But of late, it's almost like he's gone a little bit flat. And we are putting Jon Rahm in at number 8, but there was a lot of discussion over this too.
Yeah, Rahm, in my mind, is sinking a little bit. And it could be just where he is in his life with a new child. For me, it propelled me to play without any kind of worry or anything, and it helped me. But for Jon, it seems as though he's in a little bit of a slump. Maybe hasn't won for a while, hasn't won a major. This is not ideally, you would say, is this ideally the best course for him? Short swing, fast tempo, crosswinds? Not for me.
Yeah, okay.
He's dropping for me a little bit.
Okay. And as you said, we do have another couple of big names that we're going to talk about, and that was a huge determining factor in the fact that we don't have them in our top 10 this week. But I always think it's interesting, the gym that I go to, people know that I work in golf, and someone came up to me the other day and they were like, what about Jon Rahm? And I was like, well, what about Jon Rahm? And it was after he missed the cut at the Wells Fargo, and they said, oh, he's a new dad, guys never play well after their wives had a baby. I'm like, well, he has a whole new life to adjust to.
Is that because he's doing all his own cooking?
Yeah. What are you trying to say? Maybe.
What are you trying to say?
I guess, and you can speak for this better than anyone, in that you just have to get used to a whole new life. Everything is different, including your routine when you travel, for tournaments, practice, everything.
Well, if you're a tour player, Diane, you should know this. You have a brother that's won. 99% of the world revolves around you when you're a tour player. You meaning me. And when you have a child, he just gave up 98% of his all about me and has to give it to a child. So I don't know if that's going on with Jon Rahm. He's a tremendous player, and I know there's tons of trophies coming up for him. But Rahm has been off a little bit, and he's a guy that you can't put your finger on and go, yes, this is going to be perfect for him, because he's not on form.
All right then. Well, coming in at number 9 is someone who had a great finish at the AT&T. Byron Nelson finished in a tie for 3rd. He was kind of nowhere to be seen on Saturday, and then on Sunday, final round of 8 under to shoot himself all the way up. It was incredible play from Daniel Berger.
Yes, I've always liked Berger a lot, and he is a dangerous guy when he's playing well. The reason we have moved him into number 9 slot this week is because of that hot round he had yesterday. That tells me that he's hitting the ball almost perfect for him. He's got a tremendous swing action. Yes, a little bit unorthodox, but amazing win player. And if Berger's on form, this could be a breakthrough week for him, which we know he's on form, so that's why he's where he is in the top 10.
He's always known as a premium ball striker on the PGA Tour. How important is ball flight going to be this week? I mean, you talk about playing in the wind. Are we looking at guys with low trajectory, or does that really not have a huge amount to do with it?
Oh no, you're going to have to do both. I actually talked to some of our players and asked them, will this course suit a certain style of ball flight? I was thinking Shuffly, right to left. Thinking Morakawa, left to right. How would Jack Nicklaus play with left to right? And he said, no. He said, there's so many holes because of this figure 8 design. We're talking about the routing, which we'll talk more about when I do my drawings. They've exposed, I think, more holes to the ocean than any course in the world. There's 10 holes that are exposed to this ocean. So they're going to have to do a little bit of both. And anytime you can keep the ball down, Diane, with a little bit of sting on it, not floating it up in the air, then you're going to be better off. And Berger has that every time.
So definitely deserves his place in our top 10. Coming in at number 9 and then completing the top 10. Again, this was a tough one for us. How can you not put the world number 1 in the top 10 for a major? So Dustin Johnson has his place there, but right now there seems to be a little bit of a question mark. He withdrew from the Byron Nelson last week. I think we were all really excited to see where his game was at the week before the second major of the year. We didn't get to see it, so that question mark is still over DJ.
Yeah, he, as you say, withdrew last week with a little bit of knee soreness. Was the knee soreness from swimming and doing backflips in the Bahamas? Good luck to him being over there with his family and having a great time. But yes, Dustin Johnson, we talked about this earlier before the show, won the FedEx Cup, was just focused for maybe 6, 7, 8 months. And now all of a sudden, a couple of withdrawals, knee injury, miscut at the Masters, coming back here to South Carolina. Has he got that out of his system? Is he blown it out and had a bit of a break? And is he focused coming back? I don't know. But to me, Diane, it's still slipping down the list a little bit with DJ. He's not going up for sure.
Yeah, I mean, last 3 finishes, 48th, 13th, and a miscut. And he hasn't been playing a lot. We haven't seen him make a lot of appearances, that miscut being the Masters. So we've only seen him play twice since then. And it's hard. I mean, as you say, this is a huge course. It's a big stage. There's only a handful of guys that can go out there and win this PGA Championship. But he's DJ. You have to put him up there.
And when you have a hard course like this one, day one, it becomes the most important day of all, Diane, because if you get off to a good start, you're in the tournament. If you get off to a 3 or 4 over, you may be gone. You can't get back into the tournament. So day one is going to be very crucial this week for everyone. But Dustin Johnson, we have to put him in the top 10. He's the number 1 player in the world. But I don't think anyone that listens to this show will doubt us for saying that he has slipped a little bit.
18-1. The guy with the highest odds in our top 10 is Daniel Berger at 30-1. Oh no, Sam Burns actually 55-1. That's amazing, actually. So the full top 10: Rory McIlroy, Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas, Sam Burns, Victor Hovland, Xander Shuffly, Colin Morakawa, John Rahm, Daniel Berger, and Dustin Johnson. Okay, Elk. One name that's really missing from the top 10, and again, people are just they might be slightly distracted by the fact this is such a long course, and then correlate that to the longest hitter on tour and what he's doing. We haven't mentioned Bryson DeChambeau yet. What do you think about Bryson playing Kiawah Island?
Well, anybody that watches our show knows how much we have Bryson in our top 3. But this week, Diane, with all that speed, all that extra power in crosswinds, 1 degree off on a crosswind club face angle will expose his ball to 50 yards of offline hit. And I'm just going on the math like he would. And I am fading Bryson this week because that speed is too much. And people may say, Elk, you're crazy. He's the longest hitter. It's the longest course. It's got to be the perfect fit. Yeah, but not so fast when we're going crosswinds. And I'm just saying, I don't think he's going to be able to figure it out this week.
Okay. We've seen him, he can be offline when there's not a lot of wind. And as you say, that wind coming from so many different directions, that's going to be a challenge. What about every other part of his game though? So when it comes to scrambling and his putting, I mean, he's an incredible putter. The numbers right now in his stats don't really show that.
It's hard for me to sit here and qualify myself as saying he's not going to do well this week because he's such a good player.
Yeah.
But on this course, it's so narrow and it's so penal just off. Could Bryson, pull back and hit 14 fairways a day? I don't think so. I don't think in the crosswind, as hard as he hits it, as much speed as he has, as much, 1 degree off as I've talked about so far, I don't think that's suited for this type of golf course. Now, he putts good, he pitches the ball good, but it's just so much speed there. I don't like it this week. Sorry. Yeah. Shoot me.
Yeah, no, more speed, bigger margin for error for sure, and that's not going to fare well around this place. The next name that we have to mention is Brooks Kepka, 2-time PGA champion. His odds are 45-1. I've seen a lot of people saying, at that price, there's no way in the world that we can miss out putting some money on Kepka, because he does like to turn up at these huge events. He loves a big golf course. I mean, we've talked about Erin Hills. That's where he won the US Open. Brooks Kepka, what do you think about him? Bearing in mind we saw him back in action at the Byron Nelson and he missed the cut.
Well, we never really got the story of actually what happened to his knee anyway. We saw him 5 weeks ago try to play the Masters when he was reading putts, bending down on one leg, and his poor knee was straight and he couldn't do anything. And then 4.5, 5 weeks later, he came back out and played last week and missed the cut. No. He's not ready to play the hardest course in America in crosswinds. I don't care who you are. Maybe the US Open by June when things get back to normal for him. But no, he's not ready, Diane, and this is just going to be too big a task for him this week.
If it was just a dip in form, then you would be like, right, okay, wait a minute, but he loves to turn it on at majors and difficult golf courses, big stages, but it's not just a dip in form. We know that there's been injuries, we know there's been surgeries, there's been rehabilitation, and it's taken a long time, and he's continuing to work through that.
Well, just ask yourself, put him in your mind. Will you bet on him against Rory? No. Will he beat Jordan this week? No. Will he beat JT? No. Will he beat, and go on down the list, and that's how we figure this out. And, Brooks, when Brooks plays his game, he's a power player. He likes to totally smash the ball off the tee and just looks big, looks fit, strong, smashes the ball, and that's the way he attacks golf.
Yeah.
And he's physically not there yet, Diane, and that's half of his mojo. Maybe more.
Yeah, it would be a great story. If it happened, it'd be a great story. Okay, right, well, we're going to move on.
Man comes back from surgery to win on hardest course.
Just a little bit. Right, still to come, Jay Kaplan's going to be back from his travels in Hawaii. Actually, Kiawah Island sounds a little bit Hawaiian. Anyway, he's going to give us Dark Horse picks, but you and I will go through our Sizzlers next on the Tour Report.
Play money grabber on the SG Tour. Instead of strokes, it's all about the cash. You pick a team of 4 players, 1 from each tier, and scoring is based on the money that your team wins. Your guys missed the cut? No problem, you're still in the game. The SG Tour Golf Gaming app, available on iOS in the App Store.
Well, the guys have a real test this week in the PGA Championship at Kiawah Island on the ocean course. Elk, we've been talking about the fact that it's a Pete and Alice Dye design. More oceanfront holes than any other course in the world. It's also the most difficult course in the whole of the USA.
Yes, and I've seen this tournament played. I watched Rory win his tournament. I went and watched it on YouTube, and I've seen the Ryder Cup that was here. It honestly looks terrifying in places, particularly at the end of the golf course, Diane, when you come to 17, 225 yards. The projected wind will be in off the right on Sunday coming in, so it could play anywhere as a 3-wood shot across water. Bound to be some drama there. Mm-hmm. But these next 3 Sizzlers, Diane, that we're going to talk about, they have their own certain little skill set that we may just think the odds are worth a little try on these 3.
Exactly. And the first one, the more we talked about him today, because we talk about, at least half the field, and the more we talked about him, the more we were all like, light bulb moment, of course this guy is going to be up there. And our first Sizzler is Mark Leishman. We're so big on Leish anyway. He's a Secret Golf contributor. But Elk, tell us why we are so big on him this week for the PGA Championship.
Well, the reason we're so big on Leishman, well, he did just win with Cam Smith down in New Orleans, and he was literally getting the ball up and down like out of a trash can. I think someone wrote me and said, wouldn't it be just good if we just let Leishman miss every green and see what he could shoot? Because the guy is literally a freak with a chipping club. But Leishman is from Warrnambool in Australia, mate, and Warrnambool is the windiest place in Australia. So this is not going to affect Leishman. He just won, had a good Byron Nelson, and we in Australia don't have any long rough around our greens. It's all shaved down. So Leishman, he said in an interview, I heard him on an interview last week, he thinks that this could be his best opportunity because of he's used to chipping the ball with all sorts of different clubs. So yes, this is a good fit for us.
Well, talking about interviews, I caught up with him after that win with Cam Smith in New Orleans, and I told him what you said about him getting up and down, and this is what he had to say about his chipping.
Yeah, I think around the green and on the greens, my oldest boy's gotten right into golf, and we just hit shots in the backyard all the time. He's always wanted me to go out and have chipping comps, so we do a lot of it, and you have to play a lot of different shots, and we're trying to hook it around the house and over the edge of the house, and it's just fun. So I think I'm enjoying my golf again, and that makes, if you do happen to put yourself in a challenging position, I think you just kind of embrace it and not worry about why you're there, just worry about how you're going to get out of that position and try and make a par or birdie. So mindset has a lot to do with that. I walked up to that chip shot thinking of holing it, not thinking about not chunking it in the water or, hitting it, leaving Cam too long apart. I was thinking about holing it and just happened to go in. So it was nice to hole that when I really needed to. And it's been, pretty good to me lately, the chipping and putting.
Elk, that's definitely something you can relate to with your son Sam, but just going out there, and he said that it just kind of taught him, to get creative and, feel the shots, have a bit more fun with it.
Indeed, I have 2 more budding students now in my household, my wife Lisa and my daughter Annie. We played a match the other day, Annie and I versus Lisa and Sam in Mother's Day match. So with all the Elkingtons, I'm teaching everybody chipping and putting and swings now.
That's so good. And we know as well that Leishman loves the big stage. He always plays well at the Masters, just coming off a 5th place finish there. But how great would it be? I feel like Leishman has got major champion written all over him, and it's just a matter of time as to when it's going to happen. For him to say that he feels his best chances this week, then we have to take that into consideration.
Well, yes, you said it. I don't think anyone would begrudge Mark Leishman a major. He almost won at St Andrews. He's almost won at the Masters, and the clock is always running, Diane, and you have to look as a player where you have an opportunity to win. And Leishman knows this, of course. He knows he's in good form. He knows his short game is excellent. He's not worried about windy conditions. He's from the windiest place in Australia. So, yes, this is a perfect fit.
Okay. Well, Mark Leishman should say is 60-1, so his odds are good. Our next Sizzler is 50-1. It's a name who, I don't know, I mean, you look at the way he's playing right now. He's had a 2nd place finish, a 5th place finish, before that an 18th place finish. His game is in a great place right now. He's never had that win on the PGA Tour. He came close just a couple of weeks ago, but Abraham Answer is our 2nd Sizzler this week.
Nice flowing golf swing, nice rhythm. I'm talking in a little bit slower voice right now because that's what it's going to take to play well at Kiawah. You're going to be even keeled. And Answer, of course, just played one of the longest golf courses at Quail Hollow, finished 2nd to Rory McIlroy, very straight hitter. Would anyone be surprised if Abraham Answer came out and started hitting fairways and greens and started putting it together at Kiawah? Of course not. The kid has got big skills. Has he won? Not yet, but
he will.
This could be a great week for Answer.
And you said that GIR stat is going to be big this week, and that's the key to his game. That is definitely the best part of his game. But he's such a solid ball striker. He's got distance, he's got accuracy, and we know that the guys are going to have to pick their spot on those perched up greens.
Yeah, it's ball strikers are going to rise to the top. If there was ever a statement that cream rises, it's this week, particularly guys that hit the ball solid in these crosswind holes. I've been saying it all show. Crosswinds are very difficult. If you're a right-hander, right to left's okay, but left to right is really nasty. And if you can't hit it solid, you can't judge the distance. And Pete Dye's got you trapped at every corner. You've got water, you've got seagrass, you've got turtle holes, you've got the whole show down there.
If there's anyone that is ready to celebrate a win, it's Abraham Answer too. He's got his own brand of tequila. I'm sure he's just got that waiting. We know Mark Leishman with Leishman Lager. There's a theme here. Answer with his tequila. So it'd be nice to be drinking that Kiawah Island come Sunday evening. But our third Sizzler...
Maybe he calls it tequila.
Oh, that was so good. So good. We didn't even rehearse that. Right, our third and final Sizzler is 70-1. And again, the tempo is something that you always talk about with this guy, Corey Connors.
Everyone north of the border is going to be really happy when they see this show and hear that I've got Corey Connors as one of my Sizzlers. I saw Corey Connors in Florida and I told him, I said, I really enjoyed watching you play the Masters. You had the best tempo. I watched you play 13 on that side hill lie and hit a long iron with the most beautiful rhythmical swing. Cross that. I know how much pressure it is to hit that shot. I've stood in his shoes before. He made it look so easy. And I think that's going to work this week, Diane, because there's about a dozen of those long irons into these par fours. And I just think rhythm, Diane, and tempo is the money this week. It is what you need. And he has the best of it of anyone on the tour.
Okay, and looking at his numbers, we've already said greens and regulation is going to be premium, and he's 9th on the PGA Tour. You're right, it's a pleasure to watch him, especially we watched him at the Players Championship as well. He had and Bay Hill the week before. He has been playing really, really well, and he seems to have got into a good rhythm with his game and everything else on the tour.
Yep, it's just, will he be able to step into this moment? Don't know Corey Connors that well at this, but I've seen what he's done at the majors so far. You know, he wasn't scared at Augusta. This is a big, big course. And again, day one is the key, Diane. I think day one is a big day this week.
Okay, so our 3 sizzlers, Mark Leishman, Abraham Answer, and Corey Connors. So Jay Kaplan's going to be here to do the dark horses, but Elk, before he goes, what are the biggest takeaways from the show that we remember heading into the PGA Championship?
Every person, Diane, that's at Kiawah right now will be looking at Rory McIlroy as the clear favorite to this event. Everything keys off Rory McIlroy. He's the winner here before. He is in form. He is the most dangerous player on the tour when he's in form, and he hasn't been in form for a while. Now, we've talked about a bunch of guys right behind him. We are on the longest golf course on the whole tour, but I don't think you have to have massive tee shots to win this week. I think it's all about hitting fairways and playing in these crosswinds.
Okay. Right, Elk, thank you so much, and we will see what kind of drama unfolds at Kiawah Island.
Saturday is considered moving day, and you can play along on the SG Tour. It's a one-day stroke play competition where you select a team of 4 players to shoot the lowest scores of the day. Will you make big moves? Download the SG Tour Golf Gaming app on iOS now.
Well, this week we are onto the dark horses. Why are you laughing? Jay Kaplan is back from his trip to Hawaii. Elk and I have had a lot of fun at your expense over the past few weeks because, well, you didn't really tell us when you were leaving, so we were waiting for you to come on the show and then found out you were on a plane halfway across the Pacific.
Diane, when I got your message, I was somewhere over the North Pacific Ocean, and the last thing that was on my mind was you.
Okay, no, that's fine. I get it. We actually did okay with our dark horse picks as well, but the Master is back just in time for the second major of the year. So, Jay, you have to start with a vengeance here, I guess, and give us your first dark horse pick.
Well, I've had a lot of time to think about this, and one of the reasons I went to Hawaii was to clear my mojo. I feel like I was on this sort of downward slide, and what a better way to go meet the gods of Hawaii than to climb mountains like I was doing and put my feet in the world's most luxurious waters. And now I've got clarity, Diane, and what a time to return for the PGA Championship. And this is one of those events every year that seems like it's open to anybody, despite the length that Elk was talking about. It just always seems there's a name that kind of hovers near the top, and we've seen it in the past. And so this week, I really feel like a dark horse can not just perform well, but might be able to win it. And I've got 2 guys for you that have had tremendous seasons, and I think they're going to continue their momentum. And the first one is a guy that everybody loves, and at one point he had the most Hawaiian look of all time. That's my big hint. He used to have this long, scraggly blonde hair, very surfer look, like you'd run into him on the North Shore and see him in the Bonsai Pipeline. But he's most known for the way he navigates the PGA Tour's beautiful layouts, and especially in a major. I think this year he's done a great job. He is currently sitting 31st in the FedEx Cup ranking, so we know he's played well. He has adopted home course in Texas. He finished second. He usually wins that event. Hint, hint. What I liked about him was when we spit out our chart this week, Diane, he was at the very tip top of the chart. Now, we reworked some things and we put our top 10 in, and we're happy with what we've got. But I will say this guy was green across the board, driving distance, greens in regulation, scrambling, putting average, and par 4 efficiency. He's going to be there. He's going to survive Thursday. He's going to be around Friday. He'll be near the top on Saturday, and then Sunday, who knows? That was a really long intro for my first dark horse. It's Charlie Hoffman.
That's the most you've ever spoken on this show in your whole entire life.
Well, I'm re-energized. What can I say?
Charlie Hoffman, you have given every reason as to why I believe you, and he's 160-1. So odds are fantastic. And as we always say for dark horse picks, maybe not as an outright winner, but if you would like him in your top 10, or to finish better against another person, there's so many ways that you can look at it. But Hoffman at 160-1, I like it.
Thank you.
Okay. Right, who's your next guy?
My next guy feels very similar to my first guy. He's having a career year. This is a guy in his 40s that's been around for a long time. He had won on tour, but he's got such a common name, and he doesn't really do anything flashy, that you just kind of are like, who is this guy and where did he come from? He's in his 40s, so we know he's been out there for a long time. He's currently ranked 24th on the FedEx Cup rankings, and he's actually won this year. He won the Honda Classic, so that should be a dead giveaway. The one thing I love about this guy is where he's from. He's Australian, which automatically means he's going to be an expert wind player, and he's going to have to navigate those winds that blow across the Kiawah Island this weekend. I said weekend because I plan on him playing 4 rounds of really, really good golf. What's going to happen, Diane, when the final 2 come down the stretch Sunday, and it's Charlie Hoffman and my dark horse pick number 2, Matt Jones, the Australian?
Yeah, 175-1.
Yeah, I don't think you're sold on it, but I understand.
I'll give you that. Right, well, my dark horse pick has great knowledge of Kiawah Island, in that he played in the 2012 PGA Championship here and ended up finishing in a tie for 3rd. Final round 69, he played great. He went on a birdie tear to kick off his Sunday. Fell away a little bit towards the end, but it was Rory's tournament by 8, so that was fine. He's playing really good. It's almost like the resurgence of Ian Poulter. I think that we probably started to see it, it's not like he was playing terrible golf, but he just started to climb up leaderboards more and more and more over the past couple of weeks. The Dell Technologies match play, he definitely found some form that week, and it's continued. He is 3rd on the whole PGA Tour for scrambling. So the fact that he's performed well on this course before, that he's got this kind of like uplift in his game, and the inside knowledge, he just got a puppy. And you know how much I love dogs and puppies. He got a little cavapoo called Ryder, and after Ryder Cup, obviously. So Ian Poulter is just loving life. He's been having fun on social media as always. So I think that we know that he loves a big stage. He loves to perform. So Ian Poulter is my dark horse pick at 200-1.
That dog's going to need you to hit, because if that's the reason you're picking a dark horse, I'm going to steer clear. In fact, I feel like I saw Poulter in Hawaii driving a Lambo last week, but maybe that was somebody else. There were a lot of guys that I saw maybe look like him.
Yeah, I just think, Ian Poulter, again, we're talking about guys that are in their 40s, been playing on the PGA Tour for a long time now. And I don't know, I just think that what a great story it would be for him at this stage in his career to go and do well, even win a major on a course like this. You know me, I love the story, and I think it would be a great one for Poulter.
Do you want to throw in just a name as we're leaving this segment that you picked first, that maybe like, and hey, don't remember, look out for, who was it? Because you kind of got talked out of it.
Cameron Tringali, I did get talked out of it. He also played in the PGA Championship in 2012. He made the cut and then finished dead last, but that's fine, whatever. Again, you know, he's played the course and he's playing solid golf right now. Miscut in his last event, but before that, a 3rd place finish and a 9th place finish, and we've seen a lot of that from him this season. Hot start, Elk said that. These guys have to get off to a good start, and I feel like Tringali is very good at that. So, I don't know, just maybe a first round pick. Throwing it out there.
Stay with your gut instinct.
Yes. Oh, right. Thank you so much for watching our show this week. PGA Championship at the Ocean Course, Kiawah Island, 2nd major of the year. Elk's drawings, by the way, and he is a past PGA champion. He's very modest and he gets really embarrassed if we make too big a fuss over this, but extra attention going into the drawings this week. He told me he's using 5 different coloured pen, pencil, crayon things, and a lot of detail. We will be giving them away, and we will launch details of that giveaway on all of our Secret Golf social media. But next week, it's the Charles Schwab Challenge at Colonial. So back to Texas next week, and we will give you our tour report then.